Welcome back, Penguin Nation. Marshulartz here, owner and operator of Luminza LLC, my manga and light novel company stationed in Ohio. You can currently go read my manga Penguin Boy, over on Luminza.net, along with a few other titles as well, over on our site. Links in the description below at the bottom of this video. But before we get started into today's topic, and yes, you read that title right, I'm going to talk about Penguin Boy Volume 1. You know, Penguin Boy Volume 1 is out. We're still at 794 pledged with 16 backers with 13 days to go. I'm going to keep talking about it till I'm blue in the face, and that's definitely how we're going to do it. Yeah, you can check it out. We are a Ohio-based manga company looking to expand in our current published stories and other things. We're going to have definitely more titles coming out this year or next year. Not just this year, next year, but as we continue to go on, because we really want to get these titles and books out to you guys. We are here to recall imagination. So go ahead and support a local manga company today, and be sure to back this book. Where our goal is, we have $794 out of $3,500. That is our goal, and we're trying to reach that. And yeah, hopefully you guys can check it out and like it. But today we're getting into the topic of discussion, which is this: after 90 years of reboots and relaunches and more, Batman and Superman and all of DC Comics continuity is getting a realignment to be one master timeline. Right off the bat, I'll just say that this is kind of cool, but at the same time, it feels like it's kind of too late. It feels like this is like a backlash to how they're seeing all their media do it. And yeah, I mean, I think that this is kind of one of those things that they've tried to do before. I believe I've researched this enough to see that they've tried to do it before. They've tried to do it plenty of times. I mean, the reboot part, they've definitely got the New 52, the one before that. And I'm sorry if I'm not getting all these right, but if somebody down in the comments can actually tell me just the rest of what they think about, you know, this reboot or the relaunches that they've had throughout time, I think that would be kind of cool as well. But yeah, let's kind of get into this. First off, I like this image here. I think that this is really cool. I like the artwork. I think that this is, let me get my, let me see if I can actually move my fat head out of the way. Yeah, I like this artwork with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. I think that this is really cool. I like the line width that they have, the line weight that they have. That looks like, it makes Diana look really, really strong. I mean, I know she is strong, but it just makes her look strong. And I think that that's really neat. But anyway, let's kind of get into this article here, because I think that you guys will find this kind of all today. So I did highlight certain things. If there's one man who could reliably be considered to have the history of the DC universe at his fingertips, it'd be Barry Allen, the former Flash, who was the first hero to travel the multiverse and uncover the secrets behind DC's reality. I've never really, and this is the thing, when I was first getting back into DC Comics, first off, what made me want to go back and read the comics was, ironically enough, the Arrowverse. I really, really, really loved the Arrowverse, and I say I loved it, and I still have some sort of love for it, because there's a lot of people who found the Arrowverse corny, whether it was the Flash, whether it was the Legends of Tomorrow, whether it was the Arrow himself, whether it was Black Flash or Black Lightning, not Black Flash, Black Lightning. I really liked it. I really liked all of it. I thought that it was really cool. Don't get me wrong, man. You watch some of those shows and you're like, you guys don't learn your lessons. But the goal of those shows were to get people into get people who weren't into reading comics to see the live action, and for them to read the actual comics. It doesn't matter if you were a comic fan and you said, oh, this shit is corny. What mattered is you were somebody who was new to DC or an aspiring fan, and you were like, okay, hey, this episode, this scene, or this season, or this actor or actress really made this performance really cool to me. I'm going to go read the comics. And it got someone like me to actually want to go read the comics. The problem is that when I wanted to go read something from The Flash or Batman or Wonder Woman, I didn't really know where to start. And a lot of what people told me back in the day was, well, you could just start anywhere. That doesn't help me. Okay, let me give you my background for those of you who are maybe new to this video or who are going to see this as an offhand comment. I grew up reading manga, and if we all know one thing about manga is manga has a straightforward continuity. You know, it is, you start from volume 1, you get to volume 10, and you can read chapter by chapter, place by place. There's no artist taking this character and going whichever way, because in comics that's the way it is. So I mean, like, you know, my childhood friend explained to me in high school how comics were normally created. You had someone who took Batman and they would do whatever they want. And then another artist would come along after so many issues of the other artist and say, I really like what this artist did, but I don't like how they executed this, so I'm going to take Batman and do it this way. And then somebody would say, oh, I'm going to come take Batman or the Flash or Superman, and I'm going to do them this way. And when you have all these different artists doing all these different things that they want, it kind of makes it hard to kind of jump in, like jump rope. It kind of makes it hard to jump in. You're not exactly sure when the timing would be right, what you're going to like, what you're not going to like. And I think that's the appeal of comics as well, is you kind of, and I think that became the appeal of comics, is you could read your favorite artist or you could learn about a new artist and actually like them. So I'm not going to downplay that like it's a bad thing. But for me, as someone who isn't really used to reading comics, I know in my own backyard, it became kind of a thing, so so they said written by Wade and starring the Estral Mr. Allen. The series is intended to reveal the truth behind the DCU, including some secrets even longtime fans might be surprised by. And I think that's going to be really cool. You're going to get to see some Easter eggs. You're going to get to see some things you haven't really saw. I mean, my favorite character is the Flash, and I think that's something that is going to get me to kind of like see what's going on. And like I said, man, I just didn't know where to really jump in, and I think that this is a cool jump in part because maybe they're going to show things that I've never seen, along with other people I've never seen, as they stated in this article. But yeah, I just thought that it was really cool. DC Comics has a long history and, many different titles. And for someone like myself who only has been reading Western comic, or who's only been reading Western comics for about 3 years or so, I can say that I'm not exactly, it's not exactly easy to get into, like I stated earlier, man. I mean, this doesn't mean that they are bad. It's just they give all these, and because they've given all these people inspiration over time to, do these things that they've done. But I just wish that DC Comics would be a little bit more, in check with their continuity. So, yeah. Continue on. This is my dream project, Wade said in a statement about the series. It's a chance to realign all of DC's sprawling continuity into one main master timeline, and to be joined by some of the comics' greatest artists to make it shine. With new information for even longtime fans, plus Easter eggs galore, this series will be an essential read for DC fans. Yeah, I think that's kind of what. So recently, DC Animation actually came out with 3 movies, and I believe it was the Infinite Universe, or DC. It's the one where all the they have all the problems on Infinite Earths or something like that. Crisis on Infinite Earths, that's what it's called. So the Crisis on Infinite Earths, I believe back in the day, was their correction to the exact same thing. So this isn't the first time DC's doing that, and that's at least as much knowledge as I know. One, not only did I read some of those comics and I thought they were awesome, but I also watched the animated movie and I thought that was really cool too. I mean, I think the comics will probably do it more. They'll probably be able to go more in depth, just because there is so many issues. You'd probably have to get them into a big old book. But yeah, no, I think that's really cool. I mean, it's not the first time they've tried to do it, but it's still pretty cool. I mean, comics now versus then are just so different. You look at how they're being created, the political messages that are being forced into it. Don't get me wrong, comics and manga both have politics, but it usually serves the story. A lot of these things within comics nowadays, they don't really serve the story as much as they serve the creator's political agenda. And if somebody's going to try and shoot me down from here, okay, do your best. I don't really give a damn. I'm really just speaking from the heart here and just letting you know this is what a lot of my comic friends have said, is that they've fallen out of comics and gone more the manga route because of what comics have done. Now, if you want to get a new comic, I would suggest you check out Air July or the Rippaverse, because they've been doing comics right and they have been doing a lot of other things. You could also check out JDA, which is somebody else that I've not talked to, which I'd love to talk to. I'd probably love to interview him. But yeah, those are 2 people that I think are doing comics right and keeping comics fun and holistic to what they are. So yeah, and you could also check out us as a manga company as well. We do we serve the fans, and we serve our people who want to read our different stories. So yeah, no, the comics versus then versus now are just very different, just with the extreme politics and extreme message pushing versus like actually having it serve the story. And I will say, this is my point as being a stickler. I do enjoy a lot more of the cover artists rather than the people who do the inside work, because the cover art is usually the best part. That's usually the part that grabs me. And then when I get to the insides of comics, I'm just like, okay, these could be cool, but they're really not. But yeah, I wanted to kind of touch on these last 2 points because I thought it was really cool. So we should also know that the new history of DC Universe will debut just a few weeks before the theoretical version of DC Studios' Superman, the most high-profile DC movie in recent memory, and the movie that will restart DC's movie canon, and likely send fans looking for a guide to what happened in the original comic book source material. This is really important. The fact that DC Universe is looking to restart their comic book line right before James Gunn's DCU debut with Superman. That's not a coincidence to me. I think a while ago, DC Comics or DC something, they dropped the name off, if I remember. They dropped something off of the name and they just went by DC. I think it was they dropped the comics part off of DC Comics because they wanted to be known for more. So now it's just DC, and then they were probably reworking the comics in the background. They knew they were going to probably rework the universe in the background, so they wanted to make sure all that stuff was done, which to me is really good. They wanted to be able to rework all that stuff. So I think that it's a good thing. I think that's going to be really cool. So, yeah, given the admittedly confusing state of DC history after numerous reboots of reality comics like Crisis on Infinite Earths, that's what it was. Crisis on Infinite Earths, 0 Hour, which I don't know anything. Infinite Crisis, which I think that's the same thing as Crisis on Infinite Earths. If I'm wrong, please correct me, teach me down below. I'm still learning about comics. And Dark Knight's Death Metal. The Death Metal was actually pretty cool. I did get a chance to read some of those because my brother-in-law actually has some of those, and I thought it was really cool, and more. Just actually layering out what the canonical history of the current DCU looks like would be a victory in and of itself. But to have, well, I'm not going to read the rest of that. I just thought it was very interesting. I wanted to take a minute to actually showcase this because to me, it's really cool getting to see, this stuff. This is the history of the DCU. This is kind of what this stuff looks like. But I just thought that this was all good. I really do love the art for this, man. Like, it's so sleek. It's so cool. This really is in a style of its own. I really just like the style that this is all in. It screams Western, but it also has that touch of like manga inspiration. You can tell that they're adapting to the style and stuff like that. I just really have always liked these one-off panels, these illustrations, if you will, not the sequential art, but the illustrations that DC and Marvel has to offer. If I had to say if I'm a DC or a Marvel guy, I'd rather read DC comics than Marvel. It just has more of like that grittier taste, that grittier read, and that grittier feel to it. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are you surprised that DC is going to be restarting their comic universe? Are you not fazed by it? Do you not want them to actually relaunch it? Do you think it's perfect that they're relaunching it right before James Gunn's Superman movie? I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think that DC Universe shouldn't be rebooting? They should have been continuing with the Snyderverse? Let me know all your comments down below. Other than that, #PenguinNation. We are out.